You're fired. President Trump appears to be dusting off his tagline from The Apprentice and making use of it at the White House. I'm Angie Wolfram, and this is Com 110. POTUS announced via September 10th tweet that he had fired his third national security advisor, John Bolton, and inspiring a flurry of news coverage. In this era of polarized political opinion and fake news, it's more important than ever to carefully evaluate and fact-check information. With this in mind, I researched and analyzed the story of Bolton's termination from 5 different news sources. And today, I'll give you a summary of the news story, an analysis of how the story was reported, and leave you with a few tools to fact-check information by sharing my research and evaluation. To begin, let's go over the story of Bolton's abrupt departure from the White House. Although the end came suddenly, the termination of the National Security Advisor was not a surprise on Capitol Hill. Reportedly, Bolton was left out of meetings and his advice on matters of national security ignored, even as the National Security Advisor. According to a September 10th NPR article by Ewing, Trump's obvious reluctance to pick any new fights was at odds with Bolton's reputation as a war hawk. The final blow apparently was over Trump's plans to meet with Taliban leaders at Camp David, which was canceled following a Taliban attack that killed an American soldier. Just 3 days later, the president asked for Bolton's resignation. Now, let's take a look at an analysis of the news coverage. In my evaluation of news pieces by CNN, NPR, Politico, Fox News, and MSNBC, I found both similarities and differences in the focus of the information. The similarities in all 5 pieces included 2 main points, one involving previous discord between the two on foreign policy, and the other on the bitter end over the failed Taliban peace talks. Daniel Lippman quoted Bolton in his September 18th article on Politico, calling the Taliban meeting at Camp David disrespectful to the victims of 9/11. White House correspondent for Fox News, John Roberts, referred to the Taliban disagreement as the straw that broke the camel's back, not once, but twice in his broadcast on September 10th. Although the basic facts of Bolton's exit were largely agreed upon by all 5 sources, there were just a couple noted differences, such as, was the former NSA fired or did he quit? One source, Nicole Wallace from MSNBC, said Trump only claimed to have fired Bolton, while the former NSA had offered to resign. The most noticeable difference in the coverage centered around the tone of each report. While NPR, Politico, and Fox had no obvious biases, the CNN article and the MSNBC video emanated with an open dislike for the president. For example, Stephen Collinson's opener in the CNN article stated, Bolton had to go because he wanted to cancel President Donald Trump's worldwide reality TV show. In another example from MSNBC's video, Nicole Wallace said Bolton was a check on the president's most reckless and childlike impulses. While these comments leave little doubt to the opinions of the source, obvious bias opens a journalistic piece up to questions of credibility. Which brings us to our final topic, fact-checking. There are several fact-checking websites for political information, like FactCheck, PolitiFact, and Snopes. In an AP article by Miller and Reichman offered by Snopes, our 2 main points, a history of trouble between Trump and Bolton, and the disagreement over the canceled Taliban meeting, were corroborated. The journalists backed up their reports with direct quotes from eyewitness sources like Senator Lindsey Graham. Fact-checking websites like Snopes can be very helpful in confirming facts, but there are also other telltale signs that you can use to assess credibility of information. For example, evaluate any news story from several different reports for consistencies. These agreed upon points are likely the facts. Another way to assess credibility is to watch for biases. Most news coverage today in the U.S. is delivered with a political slant, but unfair prejudice can be a sign of misleading information. Now let's quickly recap what we've learned about the story, the evaluation of the coverage, and fact-checking. To summarize, following disagreements on foreign policy and failed peace talks with the Taliban, President Trump asked for John Bolton's resignation. In evaluating the news coverage, we found points of consistency as well as a few biases. And finally, fact-checking websites were used to confirm the facts of the story. Using these analytical techniques, we're better equipped to assess information for credibility. After all, none of us wants to fall prey to fake news. Thank you.